You are now listening to Nexxlegacy Radio, a radio station for the people.
All right, this is Nexxlegacy Radio. I am Charles, and my guest, I got a chance to really kind of dive in and get to know this guy. So this is the first time I've had dialogue with him, but became a fan as I was continuing just to kind of look him up, see what he's got going on, and do all the things that he's got going, literally. So I want to shout out my man, and I'm honored and privileged to interview Dwayne Morgan, two-time National Poetry Slam champion, author, and producer. Listen, 22nd annual When Brothers Speak, Saturday, November 27th at 8 p.m. is going down, and I got Mr. Morgan here with me on Nexxlegacy Radio. What's up, man?
Man, I'm happy to be here, happy to be able to talk to you. So thank you so much for having me.
Man, thank you for tapping in to the station. But for the people out there that's in the States and other countries or whatnot that's just now getting to know you, tell the listeners a little bit about yourself.
All right, so I am a spoken word artist from Toronto, Canada, and I've been performing around the world for the last 28 years. And I created the show called When Brothers Speak, which is a platform for Black men to just get on stage through their spoken word and just, share whatever's on their heart, whatever's on their mind, just so that people can hear from Black men about what it is to actually be Black, what we're dealing with. And I always made sure that there was both Canadian and American artists in the show so that you could get a different perspective on Blackness. And then a couple years after that, I started When Sisters Speak so that the women also had the opportunity. But right now I know we're kind of talking about When Brothers Speak because that's coming up at the end of this month. But yeah, I've been putting out books. My 14th book comes out in December. I do photography. I'm just all around artist and producer and just love to bring people together.
It sounds like you've been busy, man, to keep it real. And not only that, you've been busy, but also you've been busy in the sense of letting people know that it's okay to be able to talk about whatever it is that you feel, what's going on with yourself and your own growth, your struggles, your successes, this, that, and the other. During your journey, not just, saying 14 books, but as a professional speaker and everything else that you've done, what has been the biggest surprise that you've had in terms of people being more willing to talk about themselves instead of keeping it bottled in?
I think the biggest surprise is actually, internal, because despite all the stuff that I do, I'm actually, an extremely shy, quiet introvert, and I had to get out of my own way in order to do all of the things that I've done. And I've found that, people seeing me get out of my own way kind of gave them permission to get out of their way as well. And, to realize that often it's the things that we're ashamed about, it's the things that we don't want to speak about that really connects people because, that's the stuff that we really have in common. Not everybody's going to win an NBA championship, but everybody knows what it feels like to lose. So, it's
right.
really, giving power to those things that we feel bad about or, we don't feel good about. And then, when you share it, you realize that you're not the only one. You spent all this time thinking that you were the only one going through this thing. And then the minute you share it, somebody comes up to you and says, I know exactly what you're talking about. And I think that has been, the greatest thing.
When I hear you talk about that, it makes me think about just life, not just my life, but just life in general, where I guess in a lot of ways, society says that you have to look a certain way, you have to be a certain way, you have to have this certain material accomplishment when it comes to certain things. But your own peace of mind as far as what you want to be and how you want to be it and the path that you want to go is extremely important. And it's really not about what other people have, but people still go through that. So when you think about it, not just for the listeners that, kind of reach that pinnacle where they feel free to talk, but the other ones that feel conflicted in terms of how to go about their day-to-day life, like it's okay. And I'll go back to what I said earlier. It's okay to feel a certain way. You just gotta find your path to do it. why is it still hard to this day when it's so wide open than it's ever been, but people still feel closed in?
I think, social media and stuff plays a big role in that. We spend a lot of time, comparing ourselves to other people. And I mean, I show people all the time, my social media, it's all curated. I know what I'm going to post when, I know why I'm posting it, all this kind of stuff. And people are looking at that and not even thinking that, people are, picking the highlights and the moments from their lives to put forward. This is nobody's, entire life. But, people see these and feel like this is the expectation for, success or what success looks like. And I always try to tell people that, success is a very individual thing. Like, I'm not a person, I don't get turned on by money and just having, a bank account with all these zeros on it. Sure, that would be great, but that's not what wakes me up in the morning. It's not what, makes me feel like, oh, you know what? But when I get an email from somebody saying, hey, you did this thing and it touched my life, that's worth more to me than the money. So for me, that's how I measure success. For somebody else, it might be something different, and neither one is greater or less than the other. So it's really just having, kind of like what you're saying, that sense of, this is who I am. This is what makes me happy. This is what makes me feel successful. And just stand in that and know that that's okay, because you're not competing with anybody.
Heavy. Dwayne Morgan's my guest on Nexxlegacy Radio, two-time National Poetry Slam champion, author, and producer. Presents this 22nd annual When Brothers Speak spoken word concert Saturday, November 28th. Make sure you go ahead and hit my man, which I'll talk to you about when it comes to social media shortly. But when Brothers Speak, to me, it's intriguing. I wish I had the time to fly out there and come see it, because I feel like it's important. It's important in a sense where here we are in a society where we're getting so many different, the obvious obstacles, which has been the case for our black men for a very long time. And it's a challenge in a sense where we have to find a way to move past it. We can't just stay fixated on the struggle or the pressure. We have to find an avenue in order for us to be able to be relevant, not just to ourselves, but to our families, our generations, and things like that too. When as a speaker, but also as an activist in terms of helping others grow, when do you feel like it's more, okay, we know what's going on in this world, but we still have to find each other, fix each other, build each other, grow each other? When is there a cutoff point between, tapping into the struggle and being out there marching and then getting back to work so you can be able to be a force in this world, because we still have, God willing, multiple years?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a hard one for a lot of people who get into the activism and a lot of these things. But, I think it's one of those things where, you can't pour from an empty vessel. So, when you mentioned, mental health and that kind of stuff before, if you aren't protecting your mental health, then you're ultimately not good to the cause. You're not good to your family. You're not good to your community. So you have to be able to say, you know what, I got to step back from some of this. I got to feed myself. I got to, read, spend time with my kids or family or whatever the case may be to rejuvenate yourself so that you can get back out there and do the thing. And, with a show like this, one of the things that's important is because, people almost fetishize, the trauma and stuff that, Black people have seen and lived through. But I also want to make sure that people hear stories about love and joy and, the beauty that also, surrounds us as Black people. And I think the pandemic has created a great opportunity, because while I used to just produce the show in Toronto, now we're live streaming the show. So no matter where you are in the world, you can take in the show and you can listen, to the brothers speak about what's going on with them. And I think it creates such a beautiful experience and an opportunity for people, no matter, if they're in LA, Canada, Africa, wherever, to be able to just tune in and listen and take in the show.
That's what's up. And I think that's going to be a great look for a lot of people that's going to tap in. Dwayne Morgan's my guest on Nexxlegacy Radio. And you also said something about when sisters speak as well. I love my women. I love all women. I love my women, definitely. you mentioned something about social media and the perception that people make, and a lot of people will post up or put things out there for likes. You can go from anywhere from being, twerking all day, every day, just so they could be able to get likes to, and I've seen this earlier, man, and it really kind of made me think. And a person's grandparents, who's on their deathbed, or has passed away, from what I saw, taking selfies by the casket or whatever, right? So a lot of people do a lot of things for likes. So I want to bring it back to my sisters, right? So when you have certain situations and you are out there on social media and there is a consequence, it's a blessing and a curse, I see, in my opinion. So where does that self-esteem kick in, or when is that moral compass out there to the point where it's like, I'm not trying to tell you what to post or put up, but you have to be a little bit more responsible as far as what you do take in and what you put out, right?
I think it's one of those things where, it gets tricky because, I'm not going to be the one who's going to go and, tell somebody what they should or shouldn't post. What I will do is selectively use the unfollow button, whether I want to be exposed to it or not.
Right.
And I think that is the power that we have, because we often feel like somehow we're tied to the people that we're following. But if somebody's just posting a bunch of stuff that makes you feel bad, that you don't really like, that doesn't go with your frequency, there's an unfollow button for that. And use it, because you don't need to subject yourself to things that are going to just put negative thoughts or negative ideas into your head. I don't need to know that somebody twerking is getting, 10,000 likes, and me putting up something inspirational is getting 10 likes. That's going to make me say, maybe I should be twerking too, right? But what I can do is follow that person, so now I don't even see it, right? So, so much of it is just that personal responsibility. Do I want to see this or not? Because we have ways to not see it.
Wow. And that's heavy. That's heavy for this reason. And not only are you right, you're on point, because your frequency and how you go about your day-to-day life is super important. Doesn't matter if it's through social media. Like, my mission is to at least tap into somebody where they can either relate to me, be inspired by me, or, look at the mission and be like, I can respect that at the end of the day. And I know a lot of people have different agendas too. So not only is it important, it's relevant to, not just, put yourself out there in a sense, but also to just, again, you can turn on, turn off, whatever it is you want to do. I think we have that responsibility, for ourselves to really get in. And let me ask you this, because what you're doing, again, remains inspiring for a lot of people, and just some of the feedback that you've gotten over the years, not just being an author, but also having this spoken word, just this movement. What have been some of the positives that you've gotten throughout your passion that you've been displaying for years?
I think the stuff that's most important is when people, come to me and say, I heard that, and I felt seen. I felt like you just spoke something that I've lived and experienced and didn't know how to articulate. And the fact that you're saying it, again, makes it seem like I'm not the only one who has gone through those things. And I think, so many people go through life just feeling invisible, just feeling alone, feeling like nobody gets it, nobody else is going through some of the same things. So I think when you can tap into something that, other people are going through, but maybe they don't have the skill that you have to articulate it in a certain way that other people get it and understand it and feel it. I think when you can do that for somebody, it's a great thing. Even just to tap into this thing you were saying before about frequency, a lot of people take that for granted. And as you said, it is such an important thing. And there's something that I do, like people ask me all the time, how on earth do you achieve all this stuff? Like you always got something on the go. And every day, my phone pretty much stays on do not disturb when, I'm working throughout the day. And the reason is because there's people who are going to call me in the middle of the day for nonsense. People are going to call me to gossip. People are going to call me with their drama. And if I'm focused and in the middle of something and somebody calls me and I pick up and now it's drama time, I'm off track. And at the end of the day, I have to be accountable for the things that I want to try to achieve. So you call me, it goes straight to voicemail. If it's an emergency, I'm gonna hit you right back. If it's not, I'm going to call you on break time when I have the capacity to step away from, my personal purpose and mission to deal with whatever kind of stuff you want to talk about. So it's also that, prioritizing yourself and what you want to do in life, what you want to achieve without apology, without making excuses, without needing to explain to anybody why you are that important to yourself.
Free game right here. Dwayne Morgan's my guest on Nexxlegacy Radio, and you're absolutely right. I just feel in my heart like we still have so much to learn from each other. We still have so much to accomplish as a unit. You can go through life and, all right, I got this. I can do this. I can own this, whatever it is, positive, challenging, whatever the case may be. I got this. Keep it all in, bottled up or whatever. But it's better when you can be able to share that, which is I'm so grateful that you got this whole movement going on when brothers speak. This whole movement is important because, like you said earlier, you're not alone. You still, somebody could be able to hear what you got to say or know your journey and be an advocate to it and be a supportive cog in how you move on going forward. And that's going to give a lot of people motivation. And my question to you is, we can never get enough of it. So when it comes to certain things like that, what's the blueprint? And, and I'm probably asking you a loaded question. What's the blueprint to be able to share this? Not just what you're doing, but with others, helping others. How can we do this so it can be greater later?
Yeah, I think the greatest, blueprint, I guess, really is, write what is true to you. Sometimes people want to write what they think people want to hear. People want to write what's going to get them applause. People want to write, what's going to get them invited onto this radio show or onto this or whatever. But write what is true to you. Write what you've experienced, how you felt it. Because, kind of like what I was saying before, it's that rawness that people connect to. It's that stuff that we don't want to speak about is the stuff that really connects to people. So when you can be brave enough to be vulnerable, people really respond to that. And for me, so the blueprint is just, vulnerability and just being able to be honest and be like, you know what? Yeah, I'm not perfect. I screw up. I've done this. I've done that. And, and just be human because, even when we look at what's going on with, all the celebrity worship and stuff, everybody forgets that these people are human. Like, years ago, I did some work with Drake and whatever. And, when I go to schools and do speaking engagements and talk to kids, everybody wants to know, what was it like working with Drake? And like, it would be the same as working with you. It's just another human being. He just has a talent. He uses his talent. I use my talent. If you have a talent and we work together, it's the same. None of these people are any different, are any greater than any of us. The only thing is they're actually focused on their purpose and their mission, and we're focused on them. If you focus on your mission and your purpose, we all get to where we're trying to get to.
Listen, your words are hidden for this reason. I feel like, a lot of people need to pay attention and really grab onto it because it is important. You mentioned something about celebrity worship. Dwayne Morgan's my guest, 2-time National Poetry Slam champion and author on Nexxlegacy Radio. And Mr. Morgan, we've been seeing this a lot in our lifetime. There's a lot of celebrities, man, don't get me wrong, where I'm just like, I'm super, super inspired by. Lose my mind if I have dialogue for that purpose and that purpose only. But the worship to me seems to be a little deeper than that nowadays because it's an end-all be-all. Like I'm at a point in my life where I see so many people, they will begin and end with whatever it is they got going on, and it's crazy that we see this nowadays. So will it I know I'm asking you a crazy question, but will it ever cease and desist when it comes to that fanfare that a lot of people have when it comes to celebrity worship?
I don't think so. I think what we see will only get worse. I think, social media has brought us closer to celebrities than we've ever been before. We almost feel like we know them because we see their posting every day. We feel like we have access to them. And I think that's, all very problematic in a sense. And, when I talk to young people and stuff, I'm just like, do you want to watch somebody live life, or do you want to live life? Because every single day when you pick up your phone, you have a choice. You can watch whatever celebrities live, or you can put your phone down and actually live, because those celebrities are probably busy living, right? They're not watching you. They don't care what you're doing. So why do you think you should give up on your life to watch somebody else live life? The only difference between them and you is that they chose themselves. They chose what they want to do, their purpose, their mission in life, and you chose to be a spectator and watch them. I always say to the, to the young people, or anyone I'm speaking to really, is that, in life, if you go to a sporting event, you go to go watch the Lakers, whatever, there's 2 teams, so maybe call it there's 20 players who are going to get in the game. But in the stands, there's 25,000 people. So at the end of the day, the people who are going to sit and watch will always outnumber the people who choose to actually choose to be in the game and be relevant. So you got to choose every single day when you wake up. Do I want to watch, or do I want to live? Do I want to be on the court, or do I want to be in the stands? Because that is a choice we have every single day for our lives.
Amen to that. Amen to that. And you're right, because, man, at the end of the day, it's really about what you want. I mean, these celebrities don't know you unless you have an opportunity to really meet somebody and connect with somebody, which is a rarity in itself. Even though they're exposed, they still don't know you. So it's like, what? Again, are you gonna live? Who are you living for? Because it's to me, it's important that you really find avenues and ways to be able to live for not just yourself and your higher power, whatever it is that you believe in, but the mission. You know what I'm saying? And I think the mission, and a lot of people tend to forget, like, there's still a lot left if you're lucky to push through and move forward. So, a long life to live, God willing, but also leave a mark, leave a legacy, do something. You know what I mean? Find something that you're passionate about and figure it out. It's important.
Absolutely.
Dwayne Morgan, 2-time National Poetry Slam champion and author, is my guest on Nexxlegacy Radio. And you mentioned when brothers speak, you mentioned when sisters speak. Will you ever have when children speak?
People have asked me that for years, and it's possible. I mean, I gotta see, enough talented young people that I can tap into. As I said, I do a lot of work in schools trying to encourage young people to write as a way to, deal with whatever it is that they're going through. So there is a possibility that might happen at some point. I can't say when. I mean, it would definitely be a few years off at this point. But, at this point, as you've been saying, When Brothers Speak, this is the 22nd year. When I do When Sisters Speak next year, it'll be 21 years. So, I mean, these shows are well established, so it might be time to, start looking at grooming that next generation of young speakers to actually, get on stage and let people know what young people are dealing with and going through.
Right. And what you just said hit the nail right there, because, Mr. Morgan, you and I know, you don't have to be a parent to know this. You can just see what's going on with the kids out there. I mean, you're working connected. You're very connected to kids, so you already know. I'm a parent, but also I'm a uncle. I've seen obviously the growth of a lot of children and the evolution of it. And I think in a lot of ways, not just dealing with mental health and all this other stuff, kids need an outlet. They need an outlet other than social media or video games or whatever. I mean, a lot of kids use sports as that, which is great. Continue to do that. But also, it's important that these kids understand and know that it's important to have an avenue to be comfortable speaking to other kids about, again, same thing, how our brothers and sisters are connected. Kids need that too. That's super, super important, especially they're up next. To be real, you know what I'm saying? They are up next. They are going to be around for the next 20, 30, 40 years to pass on whatever generational opportunities flow. So, it's one of the reasons why I wanted to mention it. But, I feel like, Dwayne, you have the not just the longevity, but the passion and the connect, just be able to continue to push this train in the right direction, because we all need it. We all need it at the end of the day, man, woman, and child.
No, absolutely. I totally agree with you. I actually have, two school boards that I work with over here where we've created poetry slam leagues. So, the kids write poems and then go compete against kids at other schools just with their poems. So they have that outlet. So, I'm definitely trying to do the work to groom those young people and let them know that, this is a way that you can, express yourself. And it's great because when I was in school, there weren't, the only people who got trophies were the athletes. But here we have a situation where kids can, get trophies simply by writing and thinking about things and sharing. So, I'm definitely looking at building that and broadening that out as well. So everything that you're saying is totally right on the mark. And it's so important that young people have that outlet because so many of them, their only outlet is TikTok and Instagram and all of these things. And, for young people who don't necessarily have the critical thinking skills to discern a lot of the things that they're seeing, it can be extremely detrimental, especially for young people who are of color or who are immigrants or who are,
right.
Whatever, category they find themselves in. These messages can be extremely detrimental.
Amen to that. Dwayne Morgan's my guest on Nexxlegacy Radio. And one more question. And this is really a music question right now. What's in your playlist right now, my friend? What's on your music playlist?
So right now, I'm actually listening to the new Ed Sheeran album.
Okay.
So Ed Sheeran is kind of my guy. I kind of like, just listening about love and stuff. So much of I have a daughter as well who's 14 or whatever, and it's like so much of the stuff that's quote unquote popular. It's like it's so ratchet, it's so toxic. It's like I just gotta listen to something else. I gotta cleanse the palate because it's like, when you listen to this stuff all day, it's like how do you go out into the world and be positive when the music you listen to for fun is so negative? Like it just doesn't even compute or make sense to me. So it's like. Yeah, I listen to Ed Sheeran. I'm waiting on the Silk Sonic to come out. So I'm an old R&B kind of head. I'm a sucker for the love songs and that sort of thing. So that's kind of where I'm always at.
That's what's up. And shout out to Ed Sheeran. The album's dope. So, people out there, listen, you're not alone. Cleansing the palate is definitely necessary. There's plenty of music out there that I'm listening to and I'm trying to figure it out. But also, I need to also figure out. I need a different language right now. So let me go ahead and tap into this. So I'm with you. Good, and Dwayne, in closing, brother, go ahead and give out some shout outs or anybody that you want to say hello to.
All right, definitely. Well, first and foremost, I want to thank you for inviting me to be on the show to talk about When Brothers Speak. For anybody who's listening, you can find me on social media at Dwayne_Morgan, spelled the right way. I like to say DWAYNE_Morgan. You can find me DwayneMorgan.ca. Either way, you can get tickets through either of those options to check out the show on November 27th. As we said, it's being live streamed, so no matter where you're at, you can watch it. So definitely, I would love your support. For anybody who's listening, shout out to my publicist, Sasha Stoltz, who is working behind the scenes to make as many people as possible know about this. And shout out to all the listeners. Hopefully something that I said resonated with you. And let's just keep talking and keep building.
No, I appreciate that. And also, just FYI, this is my own personal thing. Like Saturday, November 27th is going down. That's on my birthday eve. My birthday's on the 28th. So to be able to know that I can be able to tap in live, do a live stream or whatnot, perfect. I'm all in. So I can't wait. I can't wait. Dwayne, I appreciate it. Thank you, man, for not just coming onto the show, but thank you for putting in this years of work and effort and being transparent in your mission to be able to give back to the people. I think it's inspiring. I think it's needed, and I think it's necessary for a lot of people to really just, absorb that, hey, you know what? I could be like this. I could be like Dwayne Morgan, or I could be like Nexxlegacy Radio, or I could be, this is sparking something in somebody. And you are a vessel, my brother, so appreciate it. I really do.
No, thank you so much, man. Appreciate that.
Absolutely. And with that being said, my man, if you could do me a solid before you go, and you could just say, hey, this is Dwayne Morgan, and you're listening to Nexxlegacy Radio.
All right, what's good, y'all? This is Dwayne Morgan, and y'all are listening to Nexxlegacy Radio.
Perfect. Dwayne, I'll be at you on social media, and man, you're a great one, man. Keep doing it.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you.
All right, appreciate you, bro.
All right, take care.
Thank you for listening to the #1 radio station for the people.